Hello ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys and everybody else that's watching. My name is Pauline Cordiner and I'm a storyteller from Aberdeen in the northeast of Scotland. Today my story is about a pirate. A long time ago, way back in the golden age of piracy, there was a boy called Jamie. Now Jamie lived in a farm very close to Stonehaven, which is only 15 miles south of where I am right now. Now, his father had taken him all the way to Aberdeen to see the ships at the harbour. And from a very young age, wee Jamie had his heart set on going off and becoming a sailor. And that was what he did. And his sailing trips took him here and there and everywhere. He worked as a fisherman, he worked mending nets on the boats, he even tried his hand at being in the British Navy. And that was where he was when his ship that he was on was attacked in the Caribbean by pirates. It was the ship of the dreaded Redbeard himself. And when the smoke cleared, there were very few men surviving. They were all lined up way back on Redbeard's ship. And he went along the line of 4 men and wee Jamie at the end, one by one, saying, "Will you become a pirate? You can die, or you can live and be part of my crew." He went along the line, and when he finally came to Jamie, Jamie stood there with his chin raised, and Jamie said, "I might join your pirate crew, but I will never take anyone's life." And all the pirates leaned in. Here was a brave boy, and they looked at their leader, Redbeard, and Redbeard, he threw his head back and laughed, and he said, "I admire your bravery, boy." And so it was that Jamie became part of Redbeard's crew, and he always stuck to his word. Whenever they were robbing, whenever they were going on board another ship, he would do whatever he could to make sure that he didn't have to kill anyone. And Redbeard was true to his word. He did not make him. And Jamie became more and more popular amongst all the pirates. He was a good lad, he was a kind lad, he was a friendly lad and a funny lad, and he could sing a song or tell a story with the best of them. And on that terrible night, the night where Redbeard was shot by a rival pirate, it was Jamie who held Redbeard in his arms. And Redbeard, with sweat pouring down his cheek, looked up at Jamie and he said, "When I took you on board this ship, boy, I promised you would never have to kill anyone. I've kept my word until now. I've been shot in the stomach," he said. "It will be a long, slow, painful death for me." And he took his dagger out of his boot and he handed it to Jamie and he said, "Kill me now, out of pity for your old captain, and I will give you the charge of my crew and my ship." Jamie had grew to love the old man, and he couldn't bear to see him suffer. So he swallowed and he did the deed. And now Jamie himself was the pirate captain. And he still kept to his word. He would never ever kill anyone. And whenever people were taken prisoner, he would rather take them to an island and drop them off. He would never make anyone walk the plank. The crew liked him. But the thing is, other people liked him too. He was known as the sympathetic pirate. Jamie, the sympathetic pirate. And people wrote songs about him, great ballads, and those great ballads travelled across the world and made it all the way back home to Scotland. People would sing those songs and think, wow, somebody from our part of the world is famous. good things can't last forever. The British Navy were sending more and more ships over to the Caribbean. It was becoming too dangerous to become a pirate. But Jamie knew of other trade routes that could be pillaged. So what he did was he sailed his ship and his crew all the way up north, past the coast of America, over under Greenland, over above the top of Norway, to Russia. And there was the trade routes, the silks, the spices, and the amber, and the jewels. And that was where Jamie and his crew haunted the waters once again. And time came, it was the middle of summer in Russia, and he took his crew on board to a wee port way up there in the north. And he got off the ship, and all his crew got off, and they went off, and they were drinking, and they were eating, and they were singing, and they were dancing with the women. And Jamie stood there in his fine coat and his fine hat, and he heard music, and it was the music of a fiddle. And Jamie, brought up in the northeast of Scotland, he loved the fiddle and he loved a wee dance. So he followed the sound of it, and he followed the sound round past the inns, round past the stables, and round the side of the stable he saw a sight that near broke his heart. Because there was a man playing a fiddle, and standing next to him was a huge giant of a man with a shaved head and a gold earring, and he was clapping his hands, and he had a rope, and on the end of that rope was a bear. And that bear was being made to dance on its hind legs, and the rope went to a ring in its nose. People were clapping, and people were laughing as the bear danced and danced. And every time that bear got down to walk on all fours again, the man with the rope would hit it with a stick and then return to clapping and making it dance. Jamie went up to the man and he said, "You can't do that. You cannot do that. That is no way to treat an animal." And although Jamie was speaking a different language, what he was saying was clear. And the big man gestured and spoke in his own language. And his meaning was clear too. If you want the bear free, you must fight for him. And by now, a huge crowd had gathered. And Jamie took off his fine coat and his fine hat, put them down on the ground, and he fought with that big man. Because Jamie was small. Jamie was fast. And 2 or 3 times, through nothing other than speed and agility, he had that man down on the ground. And finally the man rose from the ground, wiping the sweat off his forehead, and he reached out towards Jamie and he offered Jamie a handshake. And he gestured to the bear. "It is yours," he said in his own language. Well, Jamie took out his knife and he cut that rope. And he took the bear, who was just a cub, back to the ship. And the bear became his best friend. Might sound strange to you, but what else was he going to do with it? If he sold it, it would just be made to dance, so he knew he could protect it. And it lived there in his cabin on the ship. And to start off with, it slept in a wee crib at the side of his bed. But the thing about wee bears is that they grow and they grow into big bears. And so Jamie travelled. Jamie became even more famous. Not only was he the sympathetic pirate, he was the sympathetic pirate with a pet bear. And they grew older and richer together. And that bear was always at his side. So when Jamie, aged about 35, decided it was time to retire, time to take all the money that he'd earned as a pirate and go home and see how things were back in Scotland, well, the bear would come with him. And they took him, the boats took him to somewhere near Dundee, and he got into a smaller boat and he travelled north and north all the way up to the port of Stonehaven. And there he thought he would buy himself some new clothes, he would get some good food and some ale, and he would travel to his parents' farm and show them what he had made of himself. And his pet bear too. And he arrived at Stonehaven Harbour. Now, they didn't have police in those days, but what they did have was bailies. And there was a very, very enthusiastic man. A man who spied this beautifully dressed stranger with his tricorn hat and his pet bear walking along on all fours behind him. He had heard the songs and he knew right fine who this was. But he couldn't just arrest him. He couldn't just do that. He couldn't just drag him into the toll booth with no reason. So he waited until Jamie went into the tavern to get a wee refreshing drink of beer or something. And he paid someone to pick a fight with Jamie. And the fight was picked, and Jamie fought. And Jamie was winning when out of the shadows came the bailey and arrested Jamie for public disorder. And he took Jamie away and he locked him up in the cells. Now the bailey, he would be famous. He would be the one who apprehended the sympathetic pirate. And word was sent to the judges in Aberdeen, who would surely come and give him lots of gold in return for catching this wanted man. Jamie was there in the toll booth. You can still see that cell in the toll booth today. It's a museum now. And he paced up and down, and anytime anyone came near his cell, he would say, "What have you done with my bear? What have you done? What have you done with him?" And nobody would tell him. Word soon made its way to his parents, and his parents interceded. They spoke to the judges who were on their way. The judges of Aberdeen didn't have much of a good reputation. They were open to a bit of bribery, and very soon they decided that this man, in absolutely no way at all whatsoever, resembled the famous Jamie, the sympathetic pirate. He didn't even have a bear with him. And so Jamie was set free into the care of his parents. And he hugged them and he kissed them and he said, "I'll be straight back home to the farm. Here, have my gold, have my money. But there's one thing I need to do first. I need to find my bear." But the bailey wouldn't tell him what he'd done with the bear. So he went round the town. "Have you seen my bear? Have you seen him? Have you seen him?" And people wouldn't look him in the face. People wouldn't tell him what had happened to this animal. Now, you know, even today in Stonehaven, bears aren't that common, let alone back then, but for no one to know where it went. And he was losing heart, and on foot he decided to go back home to his parents. Just outside the town of Stonehaven, on the way to his parents' farm, there was a wee traveller woman at the side of the road. And she just stopped with her pack and she was selling a few bits and bobs. And Jamie came along and he smiled at her and he said, "Hello." And she said, "Hello, lad. How are you?" And he said, "Oh, I'm awful sad." "Why would that be?" He said, "You wouldn't happen to have seen a bear, would you?" "Maybe," she said. "Who's asking?" He said, "My name's Jamie." And she went, "You'd be a sympathetic lad if you get my meaning." And he said, "Aye, but all that's behind me. I just want back my best friend." And she said, "They sold him." And he said, "What? The people of Stonehaven, they sold him." "Who to?" said Jamie. There was a wee travelling circus. They saw the pierced holes in his nose and they knew that he would be able to dance. And the last I saw them, they were heading back south. Many, many days ago, they'll be long gone. They were making him dance. And it was then that Jamie's heart broke. And he passed a few wee coins to the wee wifey, and he marched back into Stonehaven. And he marched through the town, and he marched to the market square, and by this point he had quite a crowd gathered round him, and he stood up in front of everybody and he said, "You know who I am. I am one of your sons. I didn't kill a single person, save for the captain who asked me to. They sing songs about me and my bear, and you, the people of Stonehaven, have taken him away from me. Had you told me at the time I was released, I could have gone after him and I could have saved my best friend. And now I am going to curse you all." And he did curse them all. And the worst thing is, his curse became true. Because ladies and gentlemen, boys, girls, and everybody else, the curse was that everybody born, every single child born, every baby born in Stonehaven from that day onward would be born with a bare bum. And so they are. I hope you liked that story. I heard that many, many years ago from, I think it was Martha Stewart. And she tells me she doesn't remember that, but I'm pretty sure it was her. If you like stories, please follow me, Pauline Cordiner, a Scottish storyteller, on Facebook. Also follow Tag Team Tales, which we've been running lots and lots of live stories during the lockdown. And also, of course, the World Storytelling Cafe. I've got a few slots up in there, and any coins that go into my hat there go straight to the cafe clock tellers. Thanks again for listening. Take care, Abdi. Cheerio.